On Capitol Hill, the sanctuary governors were on the stand to answer questions at the House Oversight hearing. The governors were pummeled, which showed how they handled true pressure. For Illinois, what a real failure. You will see how Pritzker finally lost it. A run for president? You know the answer. Let's get to it. If you like this video, be sure to hit the like button.
Governor Pritzker for his opening statement.
Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member, members of the committee, good morning, and thank you for inviting me. As governor of the great state of Illinois, I have seen firsthand how states have had to shoulder the consequences of a broken immigration system. I'm proud of how we have responded by promoting public safety, treating people with dignity, supporting our economy, and respecting the rule of law. Safe and compassionate immigration policies, I believe, are vital. In fact, my own family owes everything to this country accepting a young refugee named Nicholas Pritzker to its shores over a century ago. My great-grandfather fled the massacre of Jews in Ukraine and arrived in the United States when he was just 10, without a penny to his name. A social service agency provided him a place to live. A public school taught him English. A public university allowed him to pursue a higher education. My father and grandfather both were naval officers and raised their families with a powerful sense of duty to community and patriotism to our country that still lives deep in my generation. Both were successful entrepreneurs. My family story is not unique. Today, Illinois is home to 1.9 million immigrants. Just like my great-grandfather, they are hardworking, raising families, and paying taxes. Our state and our country have been strengthened by people from across the globe seeking freedom, opportunity, and refuge here. Recently, children, pregnant women, and others fled poverty, violence, and persecution, seeking asylum at our border. Some border state politicians chose to treat them as political pawns, busing them to states like mine and dropping them off in the dead of night in the freezing cold. Illinois chose a different path. Faced with a humanitarian crisis, our state made sure children and families did not go hungry or freeze to death. By doing so, we helped to maintain safety and order in Chicago. As governor, one of my responsibilities is to keep the public safe. That is why I expanded our state police, banned assault weapons and ghost guns to take guns out of the hands of criminals, and invested more than ever before in violence prevention. As a result, violent crime is down in Illinois, and Chicago ended 2024 with its lowest homicide rate in 5 years. As I have consistently said, violent criminals have no place on our streets, and if they are undocumented, I want them out of Illinois and out of our country. And as we are reminded in Los Angeles this week, we can all agree that violence of any kind, whomever it is directed at, is unacceptable. People must be held accountable to the law. Illinois follows the law, but let me be clear, we expect the federal government to follow the law too. We will not participate in abuses of power. We will not violate court orders. We will not ignore the Constitution. We will not defy the Supreme Court. We will not take away people's rights to peacefully protest. We also respect, and expect this administration to respect, the traditions and legal precedent that dictate how and when our National Guard and military are deployed. As governor, I've had to make the difficult decision to call the Illinois National Guard into service. I have always done it in partnership with my local governments and law enforcement, and with deep and abiding respect for the sacrifice I was asking of our volunteer armed forces. It's wrong to deploy the National Guard and active duty Marines into an American city over the objection of local law enforcement, just to inflame a situation and create a crisis. Just as it's wrong to tear children away from their homes and their mothers and fathers who have spent decades living and working in our communities, raising their families. Besides being a father and husband, the greatest honor of my life has been serving as governor. I believe with my whole heart that Illinois is the best place in the country to live, work, and to raise a family. Illinoisans take seriously their responsibility in upholding the most fundamental values of our nation, values like kindness, empathy, hard work, and fair play. Our people embody the most American ideal of all, that where your life began matters far less than the dreams you can realize here for yourself and your family. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Chair now recognizes Mr. Gill from Texas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Governor Pritzker, do you know how much illegal immigration costs your state each year?
No, sir, I do not.
Costs over $780 per family per year. That's a lot of money, isn't it? A lot of money, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And may I ask, what do you mean by the cost?
That is a lot of money.
The cost of illegal immigration.
Let me ask you, do you know who Franklin Jose Pena Ramos is?
Are you talking about the federal government's cost to the state of Illinois as a result of the failed
Ramos is?
Immigration policy?
It's a yes or no question. I'll take that as a no. Do you know who Jose Martinez Rangel is?
No, sir, I do not.
You don't. You should. Those are two men who came into this country illegally, raped and murdered 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungary in my home state of Texas. Do you think that elected officials should have welcomed them into our communities?
Sir, before they committed a crime, I'm not sure what you're asking.
Do you think that they should have been welcomed into our communities? That's a very straightforward question.
Someone who commits murder, no. Someone who commits murder should be apprehended.
Why did you state during Biden's border crisis that illegal aliens, quote, should have been welcomed and helped by elected officials?
When you say illegal aliens, these are people who are given
welcomed
asylum.
And helped into our communities.
People who are asylum seekers.
That's an easy yes or no question.
Well, you're mischaracterizing them.
It is your position that they should have been welcomed into our communities. Is that correct?
There were asylum seekers who were here legally.
And then they went on and murdered and raped 12-year-old Jocelyn.
Someone who commits murder should be held accountable. We do that in the state.
And you think they should have been welcomed into our communities before they did?
I don't know how you can tell before somebody commits a crime that they are going to commit the
border and not let illegal aliens come into our communities. Do you support abolishing ICE?
Asylum seekers.
Do you support abolishing ICE?
No, I believe we need an immigration force in the United States.
You don't. In fact, you believe a budget is a moral document. Is that correct?
I do.
You do. You tweeted that. Your administration gave $12,000 to the Organized Communities Against Deportations, which just this past month was marching in the streets of Chicago with signs saying abolish ICE. Do you support this?
I do not.
Is this a reflection of your moral values?
Force.
Is this a reflection of your moral values?
I do not support abolishing an immigration force.
That's good to hear. Mr. Governor, do you think that biological men should be able to use women's restrooms?
I'm not sure how this has to do with immigration.
It's just a yes or no question.
Why are you?
It's very easy to answer. Do you think that men should be doing
fact finding? I'm sorry.
Do you think men should be allowed in women's restrooms?
I'm not sure why this has come to this issue.
You tweeted that as a protest against President Trump, everyone should use the other gender's bathroom today. Have you ever used the women's restroom?
Not that I can recall ever, sir.
You wanted everybody else to do it, but you didn't?
Sir, I'm not sure why we're on a topic that has nothing to do with
you. You're advocating for men to use women's restrooms, but you didn't do it?
I do not advocate that, no.
Well, actually, you did. You said everyone should use the other gender's bathroom today.
I can tell you that you are politicizing this in a way that what we ought to be focusing on is
the failure encouraging men to use women's restrooms
and the Congress to deal with immigration reform.
Do you regret encouraging men to use women's restrooms?
Again, you're taking us on topics that have.
Did you ever consider that women don't want you in their bathrooms?
So you're admitting that this is just a political circus?
No, I'm asking you because you put
nothing
this
to do with immigration
for everybody
and really about you grandstanding.
I'm asking you: have you ever considered that women don't want you in their bathrooms? That's a private space that they don't want you or any other man in.
Congressman, let's talk about your failure to
normal
vote
people
for Medicaid. In fact, you want to take Medicaid away.
Men should be in women's restrooms.
And
that's a very straightforward question.
You apparently want people
and you're encouraging men to use women's restrooms where there could be underage girls. Do you think that's appropriate?
Sir, if we're going
Do
to
you think that's
politicize this,
normal?
let's talk about what you're doing to people in
you
this
think that
country
that's normal?
by virtue of your votes.
All right, let's move on.
with
Let's
President
ask,
Trump.
do you support Hamas's agenda?
Sir, I do not. They are a terrorist organization.
Your administration gave a grant to the Muslim Civic Coalition, which just 2 weeks after October 7th was marching in the streets of Chicago to, quote, stop the U.S.-backed genocide against Gaza. Is that a reflection of your values?
I have spent my life fighting anti-Semitism.
No, I'm asking, is this a reflection of your values?
I'm not sure why you're attacking me
Because your
about something in an
administration
organization.
gave money to this organization.
I'm explaining to you that what we do in the state of Illinois is stand up for what we believe are
You didn't
our
have to
rights
give
and
money
freedoms.
to the Muslim Civic Coalition.
People
to
have
march
the
and
right
call,
to express themselves.
to stop the
We don't-
U.S.-backed genocide against Gaza. That was your choice.
I know
that was your
Republicans want to
administration.
take away people's right to free speech. We don't in the state of Illinois, and I
They've
do
got
not
the
believe
right to
that
free
is
speech.
proper.
They don't have the right to tax dollars, and you gave them to them.
You want to take those rights away from people. I understand.
Gentlemen, time's expired. Chair now recognize Mr. Donalds from Florida.
Thank you, Chairman. To piggyback off my colleague, Governor Pritzker, how much does the state of Illinois spend on illegal immigration every year?
Again, illegal immigration, that's a federal responsibility. They could tell how much is wasted as a result of their failures.
Governor, don't you keep track of how many people are on your Medicaid rolls, how many people who are illegal immigrants in the state of Illinois who are getting actually benefits in your state? Doesn't your government keep track of that?
They don't get Medicaid in Illinois or any state as far as I know.
Governor Pritzker, you do not keep track of any public service dollars in the state of Illinois that goes to illegal immigrants or goes to people in your state who are not legal residents of the United States and of the state of Illinois. You don't keep track of that.
We absolutely keep track of our budget, and we're very closely. And in fact, it's been balanced for 7 years in a row, unlike the Republican before me. Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. I noticed that in the state of Illinois, you guys don't really keep track of your money because I asked your mayor in Chicago similar question about a month ago, and he didn't have an answer. It was quite interesting. I think this might be an Illinois problem.
Chair now recognize Mr. Biggs from Arizona.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I get a kick out of you sanctuary state, county, city leaders who talk about having to deal with the border crisis. Cracks me up, actually. But at least, Governor Pritzker, you did call it a crisis in your statement. I appreciate that. Ultimately, as you said in your statement, you received 50,000 illegal aliens into Cook County. And Governor Hochul stated that New York received about 220,000 illegal aliens. That's fantastic that you know those numbers roughly. Now I want you to imagine you're a southern Arizona community of about 80,000 people sitting right on the border. And over the course of the Biden administration, a couple of million people came through your little town. And I quote you, Governor Pritzker, Illinois didn't ask for this crisis. And I'm going to tell you, neither did Yuma, Arizona. Its lone hospital, only hospital, couldn't handle the influx, nor could its single food bank, its law enforcement, its schools, and other services and infrastructure. That was a failure, you're correct, on the part of the federal government under Joe Biden. That's all stopped now. That's all stopped now. Because it didn't take a new law, it took enforcement of the current law. But you know what drew a lot of those people? Because you might have been down there once. I've been down there dozens of times. I've taken more people from Congress down there than anybody else here. And you know what those people told me? They're coming here because they wanted to get to places, and they would name Chicago, and they would name New York to me. And I'd say, why the heck are you crossing here and not crossing at Del Rio? Because you guys offered sanctuary policies. They believed that they would be protected in your jurisdictions. And now that these millions of illegal aliens are here, permitted to get here by the Democrats and the Biden administration, your jurisdictions actually hinder the enforcement of immigration laws because of the sanctuary policies you've adopted. And then you have the temerity to complain about the influx of illegal aliens that strain your social services. Well, you did that. That's not even an unintended consequence. That's what it is. So I'll ask you, Governor Walz, do you agree with Minnesota your Attorney General's opinion stating that it's not lawful for Minnesota counties to hold people for immigration authorities, even if there is an immigration warrant? Do you agree with his statement? That's his statement. It's not yours. I just want to know if you agree with him.
Yeah, well, I know you know this, Congressman.
Governor Pritzker.
Thank you, Congressman. As a great-grandson of an immigrant to this country, I can tell you that my views about immigration are that it's a positive for this nation. In general, immigration is
Legally.
legal immigration. Now, let's talk about what has happened over certainly the last 40 years, if not much longer, which is...
Why don't we go the last four? Because we've never had anything like the last four. Let's not put this into a context of history. Let's put it under you as governor, your public comments, Governor Walz's comments, and Governor Hochul's public comments to encourage people to break the law, to come through my state and cause carnage, and drug cartels to have people now where they have a marketing organization everywhere to where communities have to have a 287G problem because they have people staying where they had never stayed before.
Well, that mischaracterizes things that I have said. Let me just be clear. We have had 40 years of failure at the border and failure of immigration policy. We'll talk about the last 4 years, right? There were people that came to the border, got because the federal government decided that because there's law that allows this. Right?
There was not law that allowed it. There was a presidential directive.
Okay, fair enough. We're not in charge of the border in Illinois. I can tell you that. We don't have a border with a foreign
Well, you
nation
encourage knowing there be tens of thousands of children that would come. Governor Hochul.
We had 50,000 people who came from Texas because they were shipped to us. And let me tell you, I was in favor of helping them find helping Texas, indeed, find a way to provide for them. We as a nation should be welcoming people to this country.
Not illegally.
Handling.
That's the difference, and you need to say that. Mr. Chairman, I know my time is up.
Do you agree with his memo? And you're killing time because you're filibustering. Do you agree with his memo? That's all I'm asking.
Nothing.
And you don't want to even answer it. You just say, oh, you know, maybe yes, maybe no. I don't know. Let's go to you, Governor Pritzker. A lawsuit was filed against you in the state of Illinois, and you responded. Your response to the claim is that Illinois has a quote constitutionally protected choice not to assist federal authorities with deportation, close quote. Give me the constitutional reference you're making there. What are you referring to?
Congressman, I don't know the lawsuit that you're referring to, and I don't know that I was the respondent in that lawsuit. I can say that
this is from the response filed on your behalf. So you didn't read the response? Well, let me then ask you, if that is the response officially of you, how is that consistent with Arizona versus U.S.? It's not. How is it consistent with 8 U.S.C. 287 D3? It's not. Let's just cover the last 18 seconds. When you guys say you say we do give these people information only on a criminal warrant. Is there any distinction in 8 U.S.C. 1373A, 1324, 1324C that says, yeah, you don't have to give information. You don't have to provide the body. You don't have to respond to the ICE detainer. Is there anything in there that says there's a distinction between the criminal law, the criminal warrant, the criminal detainer, and a civil warrant, civil detainer? Is there anything in there? The answer is no. I'll answer for you. You do violate the law. You are sanctuary cities. And every one of you sitting there, if you don't know that by now, you should know it walking out of here, that you are actually committing a federal crime every time someone does that, because you don't have the authority under federal law or under the Constitution to negate even a civil warrant for someone who's violated a federal offense when you get a detainer notice.
Mr. Chairman, I know my time is up. I'd like to ask unanimous consent to enter to the record United States Department of Homeland Security Management Report, August 19th, 2024.
The billionaire expression is priceless.
Where unaccompanied alien children.
Without objection, so ordered. Chair recognizes
Governor Pritzker, I don't know you. Governor Hochul, I don't know you. I can tell you that that you strike me as extremely political and rather arrogant, quite smug, good lady. And this is a serious topic, man. We have hundreds of thousands of Americans dead from fentanyl that came across our border. Our nation suffered generational trauma for 4 years from open border policies. And we listened in ad nauseum, speech after speech after speech about how Mayorkas, who struck me as equally smug in many horrific meetings, said we need more money, we need more laws. We never needed more money. We never needed more laws. We needed an executive branch that had the will to enforce the law. And Governor Pritzker, what do you tell a family when they ask you why? Why was this murderer in my state that came here across the border illegally and was encouraged to come to my state by your policies? Go.
You said invited or encouraged. 50,000 people
invited
were,
and encouraged
50,000 people were shipped to my state by a border state governor.
Own it, man.
I'm not beating around. I'm telling you, 50,000 people were shipped to my state by a Republican border state governor.
50,000 is a smidgen. We have 15 million cross the border.
I understand.
I'm glad they bust some to your state.
I have been clear
your sanctuary
about
policies
favoring border security. There was a bill last year on that very subject, sir.
On the question of what I'd say to that family, I would say my heart is breaking for you. I'm a mother. When you describe the pain of a family like that, I've been there. I have held victims' families in my arms.
That's a good start.
And I'll tell you this,
Mr. Chairman,
you appear to be a religious person, but we are called.
Gentleman's time's expired. Chair recognizes Ms. Lee from Pennsylvania.
Mr. Chairman.
Well, I recognize the ranking member for unanimous consent.
Okay, a couple of things. One, I want to raise a point of order. It is against the rules to attack or to breach the decorum with respect to our witnesses. You can't.
Well, the ranking member has
look
a
like
this,
or you look like that. You look like this. You cannot criticize the countenance of a witness when they come before the committee. You can raise issues, no question, but you cannot personally attack a witness. That is not within the rules. That is not in accordance with decorum here. And I would raise that same concern if
Did the ranking member not call us Nazis?
All right.
Secondly,
proceed with unanimous consent.
Secondly, unanimous consent. I have asked
millions. I don't call federal law enforcement officers Gestapo. You were recently quoted. Where's the apology?
Donald Trump.
Oh, no, Donald Trump didn't. Listen, Donald Trump's not here.
Yeah.
You are, Governor.
Yeah.
You're a big boy. Put your big boy pants on.
I would ask, don't wear masks. Identify who you are. Don't pull up and
Governor, you called them Gestapo. Will you apologize for that?
And don't pull people.
Will you apologize for that?
Congressman, my job, I'm a history teacher.
Okay, so you won't. Okay, we're going to move on. No,
Mr.
Chairman, I reclaim my time. If you won't answer the question. I think that's hyperbolic demagoguery. I mean, you said that in a speech, maybe you got a little carried away. I don't know if you apologize for that too, that you were, quote, going to kick Republicans' asses. I mean, I didn't say that. You said it. And that's dangerous rhetoric, especially when you use Gestapo. That's lazy too, and it's terribly inaccurate. The fact of the matter is, again, time and again, you've excused violence and you use dangerous, irresponsible rhetoric.
As a result of a false promise. I know you're perfectly willing to pay millions of dollars to people out of your own coffers, but the bottom line is they came through Texas and other areas, and it caused a great deal of carnage and harm. And these migrants are in trouble. They're in trouble, the entire pathway to be taken advantage of and to cause harm, not just to themselves, but other people. I would submit to you, all three of you have encouraged people to come, and the numbers are stunning about the numbers of not just people that got caught, but those people that came here who have criminal records, and they appear on terrorist watch lists. And I would ask each of you, are you aware that when you put your open Come to America sign, come to the state of Minnesota, come to Illinois, come to New York, are you aware that you were doing that where there would not be a background check, where there would be people who would openly hear this who were criminals and terrorists, and they evaded this process and overwhelmed law enforcement. You created a gold rush. You created a rush whereby people came, and the entire pathway is littered with not only brand new areas, and it's the number of communities that now participate under 280G has exploded. And that is because it is the drug cartel's plan to have someone in every single city around America.
Recognizes Mr. Palmer from Alabama.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, I want to point out that under Article 6 of the Constitution, the Supremacy Clause, that by declaring your states sanctuary states, you declared your intent to violate federal law. With that, are you aware that illegal aliens with known ties to terrorist organizations are now residing in the United States? That's a yes or no. Quickly, yes or no. Governor Walz.
I don't have firsthand knowledge, but I would assume
you should have. Governor Pritzker.
I know that's been alleged. I don't have firsthand knowledge myself.
You should have. Governor Hochul.
My Joint Terrorism Task Force has surveillance.
Ma'am, that's a yes or no. Either you know or you don't.
We are aware.
That's amazing. Considering that the Customs Border Patrol reported just in fiscal year 23, 736 encounters with illegal aliens with ties to terrorist organizations. And there's it's 2.2 million estimated gotaways. We have no idea how many known terrorists are in our country. Do you support the arrest and deportation of illegal aliens with ties to terrorist organizations? So yes or no? Governor Walz.
If due process is given, certainly.
Governor Pritzker.
Exactly. We need
Governor
due
Hochul.
process before we arrest people.
Yes or no?
Anyone involved in a crime, we
Ma'am,
cooperate.
yes or no?
We cooperate when
Ma'am, yes or no?
We cooperate
You
with any
cannot
crimes.
give a straight answer, and the answer is you're giving safe harbor to people with ties to terrorist organizations. Are you aware of that? Let me tell you, you're shielding members of known terrorist organizations such as MS-13, Trinidad Aragua, Brown Pride Azteca, Barrios Azteca, Serenos, which is otherwise known as Sur 13, and the 18th Street Gang. Those are designated terrorist organizations. Many of these are the people responsible for bringing. Are you aware that the Department of Homeland Security identified over 400 illegal aliens who were smuggled into the United States with the help of an affiliate of ISIS? Are you aware of that, Governor Walz?
Congressman, I don't have direct knowledge of that.
Well, I'll help you. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to enter to the record article from NBC News. DHS identifies over 400 migrants brought in the United States by an IS-affiliated human smuggling network. Is that a problem?
Without objections ordered.
Does that raise any concern for you?
None of us want terrorists in this country.
Then why are you shielding people here from being picked up by our ICE agents, referring to this as a Gestapo organization? You know, I never want to get up on another morning like I did on September 11th, 2001. There are people in this country who are here with the full intent to do us harm. They came across our borders illegally. 358 of them crossed the northern border into New York. Not all of them into New York, but some of them came through New York. There's arms smuggling across the Canadian border into New York. And you're shielding these people. Are you aware that if just 0.5% of the estimated 15 million, 14.7 million to be exact, that came into our country illegally during the Biden administration, if just 0.5% are tied to criminal organizations or terrorist organizations, that constitutes more than the combined active duty forces of the Army and Marines? Does that not strike you as something that should be of great concern to us?
Since you raised New York, I'd like to answer.
Are you aware?
We cooperate fully with all investigations, particularly terrorists, And you
Well, how do
cannot
you know
say
if they're
9/11 and not invoke
How do you
incredible
know,
emotion
Governor
from us.
Hochul, that they're terrorists if you don't allow people to be picked up who came here illegally to at least give an account for their presence?
We say they
how do
should
you
be vetted
know
at the
if they're
border.
not part of that 400 that we know came in through an ISIS-affiliated human smuggling operation? You don't know.
Now, Chair recognizes Dr. Gosar from Arizona.
Governors, good afternoon.
You have one?
Would you agree that good process builds good policy, builds good politics? Pretty normal, right? Would you agree, Governor Pritzker?
Yes, sir.
How about you, Governor?
I would agree,
Also,
Congressman.
Governor Hochul?
I would agree with that.
Good. Now, would you support the disclosure of federal fundings to nonprofits, either directly or indirectly? Governor Pritzker?
Federal funding of nonprofits, just generally, there is actually nonprofits do report their.
Well, they do kind of, because we don't get that. That's all blocked out, okay? But you can't make good decisions if you don't have that. Would you agree?
All of it is available, as I understand, publicly, yes.
Now I'm going to quote U.S. Supreme Court Associate Justice Louis Brandeis. He said, "In a government of laws, existence of the government will be imperiled if it fails to observe and uphold the law scrupulously. Our government is potent, the omnipresent teacher. For good or for ill, it teaches the whole people by its example. If the government becomes a lawbreaker, it invites contempt for the law. It invites every man to become a law unto himself. It invites anarchy." So do you agree with, Governor Pritzker, do you agree with Louis Brandeis on this quote? How about you, Dr. Walton?
I do. It's what the President Trump has done, though. He is the one who has broken the law, and the United States government.
Governor Hochul.
We follow all the laws, federal and
From
state.
Pennsylvania.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sad to say I'm disappointed today, but, governors, Ms. Perryman, welcome to the House of Representatives. Great to have you here and hear about your thoughts and views on things. Governor Pritzker, you said, I think numerous times now, that the president broke the law. You're an attorney, right? Northwestern? Is that where you went to law school?
Congressman, yes, sir.
So just, can you cite which law in this regard he's broken?
Well, there have been congressionally approved appropriations that this president has cut off, and we've had to go to court. That's illegal. We've had to go to court to have it reinstated.
It's illegal.
It is illegal.
If you have to go to court, it's illegal, and it's still working its way through the courts, right?
Yes, but things have been ruled on already.
It's not illegal yet. It's your opinion. But regarding
when a judge rules on it, that's the law. Okay.
It's the law at that moment until the next judge rules on it. Okay. Right? Because you understand the court system. You're the attorney here. I'm not. But you're not saying he broke the law regarding the riots in Los Angeles right now, or are you saying that?
That hasn't been ruled upon yet. So,
but are you saying
the
he broke the law in that
I believe
regard
that he
or not?
did, but that is not what I'm referring to.
Okay, you're not referring.
No,
to
I
that.
just told you there are
I just want to be clear about
congressional
that.
appropriations.
Because the implication, because of what this hearing is about, is that you're saying that he broke the law regarding the mobilization in Los Angeles, and you're not saying that. I want to make that clear. You're not saying that.
What he is doing is overstepping his authority, and we are going to court.
Okay. So let me ask you a couple questions, because I want to go through a little walk down memory lane here in history for you. In 1794, George Washington mobilized the military. You familiar with the Whiskey Rebellion?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so was Washington beyond his scope? Did he overstep?
What about inciting riots on January 6th at the Capitol, right in this building? Well, you're asking.
I'm asking, you're saying he's breaking the law.
Yes.
Ms. Hochul,
he has broken
Governor
the law.
Hochul, you're also an attorney. How about Abraham Lincoln, 1862? Did he do it?
The abuse of power is an overreach into the responsibility
How about
of
Dwight
state.
Eisenhower? Did he do it when he mobilized?
In situations where
John
you're
Kennedy.
overruling.
John Kennedy.
You seriously don't want an answer from me. I won't even bother.
How about Lyndon Johnson, 1965 and 67, and 68? Is that you're saying that's against the law? What the president is now doing? Are you guys? You're the attorneys here, and I'm not talking to Governor Walz here because he's not an attorney. He called himself a knucklehead, so I'm leaving him out of this right now. Are you guys familiar with sections 251 through 255 of Title 10 of the U.S. Code?
The conditions under which a president may usurp the authority of a governor in activating the National Guard is under an invasion or an insurrection. I would argue that neither one of those.
Governor Hochul, I would refer you to Section 253. I'm not going to bore everybody with reading it for you, but you're wrong. And to accuse the president, quite honestly, that's the least that you've accused him of. You've also, in this room, he's been accused of being a dictator, maybe not by you. And if you're willing to say he's not one, we'd love to hear it. But also that the law enforcement agents are Nazis with Gestapo-like tactics. Governor Walz, you mentioned that in a commencement speech. Now, let me ask you, I'm going to ask each three of you this. 8 CFR 287.7. It arises from the Secretary's power under Section 103A3 of the Immigration and Nationality Act, the INA. So do Sections 236, 241, 287. Are those things laws that should be followed and enforced? Are you okay with those things being laws and enforced or not?
For federal immigration laws are designed to be enforced by the federal government.
So you're okay. You're okay with that? Is that each one of you?
The state cooperates.
I don't know what you read. I don't have that in front of me.
These are laws, Governor Walz, that are on the books. It's the Immigration and Nationalities Act, and those are sections of them, as is 8 U.S.C. 1226A, 8 U.S.C. 1357A2, 8 U.S.C. 1357A4, 8 U.S.C. 1357A5.
Would the gentleman provide copies of that for the witnesses? If you're going to cite a law, you'd provide a copy for the witnesses typically.
Out of order, Mr.
These two governors, two of these governors are attorneys, sir. I'm not. They should know this and I shouldn't. But I'm just asking, let's just assume that these are laws. Let's just assume I'm not lying to you, that these are laws on the books right now. Are you okay with them being enforced?
You might be asking us a lot. Governors don't get to deal in hypotheticals.
Okay, so putting myself on them, these are laws. These are current laws on the books regarding immigration and naturalization.
We abide by all of those laws.
You abide by all these laws.
We abide by federal law.
Governor Hochul, do you abide?
State law.
We follow all state and federal laws.
Governor Walz, do you abide?
We abide by all laws.
Is there any detainer? Is there any ICE detainer that you will reject? That you will instruct your law enforcement community or corrections facilities and enforcement community in your states to reject? Anyone for any reason? A legal ICE detainer under the laws that I just cited.
Every jurisdiction in Minnesota follows the law.
Every single one.
Okay, and his gentleman's time's expired, but feel free to answer the question, Governor Walz.
Governor Pritzker.
We follow all laws,
but you don't. That's my point.
In Minnesota, there's
I want you to say you will, because we hope you will, but you actually don't, and you haven't, which is why we have this horrific mess. I yield.
Chair, we allow their witness to answer? That'd be great. Thanks.
Mr.
Chairman, these witnesses have been here for over 4 hours. They've all voluntarily have been engaging with our members with respect. They've all treated our members with respect.
Lakin Riley is dead forever. 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 They can sit there all day.
My time.
Hold on. No, state your point.
I'm trying to.
State your point. No. It's a point of inquiry, not a debate.
Our rules, if you would let me speak, our rules of decorum dictate that our witnesses should be treated with respect, and I ask you to enforce decorum and remind committee members to treat our witnesses with respect.
Our members are treating the witnesses with respect. This is not a courtroom. We engage with the witnesses, and I think everybody's acting within the realm. We haven't cried and screamed when you all are criticizing the current president, even though that's in the rules, not criticizing.
Law and how they look. How they look.
All right. Maybe
Mr. Chairman,
if you win the chairmanship. If you all flip the House, you win the chairmanship, then you can do what Ms. Crockett says she's going to do and try to impeach Trump again or whatever you're all.
Mr. Chairman, is there any chance you would yield me 30 seconds to just respond that we are heartbroken what happened to her family? Lakin Riley should be alive today. And I'm so sorry for what happened to her. I truly am what happened. But This has nothing to do with our civil enforcement of the laws. We are always cooperating with criminal investigations, always have, always will. So misstating our policies is not serving the purpose of making sure we have meaningful policies that'll actually move the dime. Why aren't we working together to come up with meaningful immigration reform, secure our borders, do vetting at the border?
We're going to go back. Okay, Governor, with all due respect, there was no, the policy of the previous administration was an open border. It was an open border. You all supported that. Now you're saying we need.
Point of order.
You were saying you were. No, I mean, Ms. Ocasio-Cortez, I will recognize you because I like you.
Thank you.
But here,
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate that.
Here's the border was open, and you all said nothing. All right. Now you said we had to pass legislation. We didn't have to pass legislation. Donald Trump secured the border on the first day. Now, there's no question you all have been obstructing and criticizing and failing to work with this administration in trying to apprehend the criminal illegals. That's what this hearing's about. It's not about theater. It's about trying to get a consensus on working with this administration to deport the criminal illegals.
We do it every day of the week, Mr.
All the
Chairman.
people who are over here illegally, to deport the criminal illegals. So
we do it every day of the week.
Out of order. I'm going to let Ms. Ocasio-Cortez state her point, and then we're going to go to Ro Khanna.
Oh, we can continue. I was just curious whose time it was, but we can proceed.
Right.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Governor Pritzker, you mentioned in your opening statement that criminals have no place in our country, but Cook County released numerous criminal migrants last year, including one that was charged with raping a minor. Why would you release a criminal rapist back into your community?
Thank you, Congressman. First of all, we don't need to release somebody if ICE or another law enforcement authority shows up with a judicial warrant. Then that's just the fact. And if somebody gets released, it's usually because they've had due process and determined not to be eligible to be held. That's
okay. But do you know what happened after that individual was released?
I don't. But again, a judicial warrant, if appropriate.
I'll tell you, 17 days later, he was charged with a homicide. And in Cook County, also released a migrant charged with domestic violence in August of 2024. You know what this individual was charged with 1 month later?
No, sir, I'm not sure what.
Aggravated criminal sexual assault and abuse of minor. And as governor, have you done anything to ensure local and county governments aren't releasing illegal immigrants charged with sexual or violent crimes?
As a matter of fact, first of all, we chase down criminals every single day. We put them in jail. We try them, put them through due process. They get convicted. They get put into our correction system. We do that every single day. You're implying that we're not. We are. In fact, our law enforcement are some of the best in the country. They do their job.
Well, if these laws were enforced, then I would assume these people wouldn't be back out on the streets so freely. How many programs does Illinois have that explicitly supports illegal immigrants?
Sir, we've created programs to deal with not illegal. I mean, we have one program that's related to undocumented people who are.
I'm out of time, but the answer is at least four. Health benefits for immigrants, HBIS, health benefits for immigrants, adults, HBI, retention of Illinois students, and equity RISE is the acronym for that act, in the Illinois Dream Fund. And I'm sorry I'm out of time, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
This is what happens when a lot of spiteful executive orders are signed. He forgets.
We'll enter the picture without objection to order. Chair recognizes Ms. Mace from South Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome to the unofficial 2028 Democrat presidential primary right here on stage at the Oversight Committee. Governor Newsom must be seething. The three of you beat him to the stage, but he's a little busy right now defending illegals and defending Antifa, torching what is left of Los Angeles. Governor Walz knows the playbook. In 2020, he rolled out the red carpet for anarchists while Minnesotans watched their neighborhoods burn. You've turned your states into sanctuaries for illegals. You've done more to shield MS-13 than to protect the single mom working 2 jobs in Chicago, Queens, or Minneapolis. And you've worked harder against ICE than with them. So Governor Walz, and boy, does that feel nice to say the word governor, my first question is for you. Did you know the Nazis killed 6 million Jews during the Holocaust? It's a yes or no question. Did you know the Nazis killed 6 million Jews during the Holocaust?
Pushing my button, Dan.
Okay.
Yes, I believe that's historic.
Okay, would you agree the Holocaust is the most horrific atrocity in human history? Yes or no?
I think the Holocaust ranks amongst them, yes.
Did you know the Nazi Gestapo imprisoned, tortured, and murdered Jews by the hundreds of thousands and committed genocide against the Jews? Did you know that?
I do know they operated as secret.
Did you know ICE has done none of that? Yes or no?
Operated as a secret police force?
No, that's not the question. Did you know that ICE has not committed genocide against anyone?
Yes, I do know that.
Okay. Do you apologize for your disgusting comparison of ICE to the Gestapo, who killed hundreds of thousands of Jews during the Holocaust?
As a history teacher.
Yes or no is the question.
A historical
You're
comparison.
a governor. You understand what the question is. It's yes or no. Will you apologize for what you said about ICE, comparing them to
ICE to
Gestapo?
identify who they are when they operate, to not use unmarked.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, this governor, or honorable, can't answer the question. Do you believe the Nuremberg trials were a good exercise in holding the Nazis accountable? Yes or no?
I think due process.
Okay, so are you calling for ICE agents to be brought to a tribunal under the threat of death by comparing them to the Gestapo?
Everyone is afforded due process.
What don't you understand about yes or no? Like, what can't you comprehend about yes or no questions? Do you still want to abolish ICE? Do you still want to abolish ICE? Yes or no?
Said I wanted to abolish ICE.
Didn't you march in a rally calling for ICE's abolishment?
Not that I can recall, Congressman.
Well, according to widespread media reports, you did.
And the media is always correct.
How do you rate Kamala Harris's job as border czar? I want a number between 1 and 10. How was she as border czar?
I wouldn't have a way to measure that. I was not in the administration.
Weren't you her running mate for vice president?
As in the campaign.
And you can't rate her role as border czar on a scale of 1 to 10. Was she great at 10 or was she a 1? Terrible.
I think her proposal that she put forward to make sure we had the bipartisan immigration.
It wasn't bipartisan. Did you ever personally speak with Kamala about Joe Biden's cognitive collapse?
Not that I can recall, Congressman.
Not as her running mate for vice president. You never once talked to her about the president and why she was nominated instead of him.
No, not that I can recall.
What kind of operation were you guys running over there?
I was more concerned with Donald Trump's cognitive.
Thank God he's president and J.D. Vance is vice president and not you. Have you ever served in a combat zone, Governor?
I have not, Congresswoman.
Okay. Are you still friends with school shooters?
I have never been a friend with a school shooter.
Didn't you say you were friends with school shooters on the debate stage?
Oh, Congresswoman.
Yeah. My mom was a teacher. I'm a high school dropout. We can talk about that later. Is bullying okay?
Is bullying okay as teacher?
Is bullying okay? Yes or no? Is it okay to bully somebody?
I think there's a time to push back at a bully. So yes, I do think there's a time.
So you think it's okay to bully others?
I think it's okay to bully the bully at times.
Well, you're showing that the Democrat Party is the party of violence. Were you at Tiananmen Square?
Have I been to Tiananmen Square? I have.
Were you at Tiananmen Square?
I have been at Tiananmen Square.
When were you there?
Oh, as I recall, January of 1990.
Okay. What is a woman? What is a woman is the question.
I'm not sure I understand the question here.
Well,
What do you want me to say?
I want you to say that a woman like me is an adult human female, that men can't become women. You guys are the party of violence, and you're the party erasing women. You don't respect us. You're a bigot. You're a misogynist. You're a sexist. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Congressman, lady.
Unanimous consent request.
Mr. Frost.
Unanimous consent request into the record a NBC article. Senator Alex Padilla removed from news conference with Homeland Security Secretary Noem.
All right, without objection to order.
I have another one. The Hill article. Padilla forcibly removed from Noem press conference.
Without objection to order.
And I have a third one. Axios Democratic senator forcibly removed from DHS press conference.
Without objection to order.
Mr. Chair, also we were just talking about this. I want to know if you can commit to working with us so we can.
You're out of order. Chair recognizes
I have a point of order.
No.
I have a point of order.
State your point.
We need to subpoena.
That's not
Secretary
a point of order.
Noem.
Chair recognizes
We
Ms.
just talked
Green
about
from-
this
No, it's not a
earlier.
point.
We talked
Thank
about
you, Mr. Chairman. Reclaiming my time. Reclaiming my time.
Thrown to the ground
Reclaiming my time.
and handcuffed in his own damn
Oh,
state.
Democrats can't follow the rules. Can't follow
Chair
the law.
recognizes Ms. Green.
Can't
Here.
follow the rules. Can't follow
We need
the
to
law.
subpoena Kristi Noem. It's
Chair
her
recognizes
staff,
Ms. Green.
DHS federal
There's a
officers
privilege of
that
the
threw a
majority,
US
and that
senator
means
to the
we're in
ground.
charge,
Just
not
this
your
morning we were
side.
talking about this
Because
happening to
you
governors.
lost the
All right,
election.
Ms. Green, we're going to start the
Because
clock.
you
You have
supported
anything
the
to say about
invasion
that?
of our
Mr. Frost.
country.
All right.
It's my time.
Will you
Hold it.
commit on the record
Stop
to
the
work
clock.
My
to
time.
subpoena
Thank you,
Kristi
Mr.
Noem?
Chairman. Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
You're out of order. Chair recognizes
Will
Ms.
you
Green.
commit on the record
you.
to subpoenaing Kristi Noem because a U.S. senator was just thrown to the ground and detained in his own
Democrats
state?
can't follow the rules.
out of
Can't
order.
follow the law.
Will you
Can't
commit-
follow the
Shut
rules.
up. Just shut
Will
up.
you? No, you don't. No,
Shut
you're
up.
not going to tell me to shut up.
Let's how do you get him in order? You're running for the,
Not like that.
he has been out of order 6 times. He's trying to get on MSNBC. You probably knocked
I get it.
somebody off
I don't have any problem
MSNBC to
getting
get
on
on there.
MSNBC. That's
Ms.
not
I
what
Green,
think as he's been arrested as a
recognized.
former
Yeah, well,
Antifa
okay,
member,
here,
right?
back to order,
Antifa.
Ms. Green. Go.
He's a
Go.
former
All
Antifa
right, Ms.
member,
Green, you're
Mr.
recognized.
Chairman.
You got
no
it.
surprise.
Who's a former
Sure.
Antifa member? Me?
Yeah, you.
I asked that these words be taken down.
No, Ms. Green,
Thank you.
you're
I
recognized.
asked
Thank
that these
you,
words
Mr.
be taken
Chairman.
down.
There's a motion.
Governor
Ms.
Hochul,
Green is recognized.
Governor
I asked that
Hochul,
these
you
words be taken
stated
down.
that you're a proud Democrat, proud registered
All
Democrat.
right, we got to suspend. There's been a parliamentary move. They said they weren't going to do that. What's the?
Just ask her to strike what she said.
Okay. Suspend for 2 minutes. Back, they've called votes. We're going to try to get 2 more questions in. I'll recognize Mr. Davis from Illinois and then Ms. Luna.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I thank you and the ranking member for letting me wave on to this hearing. I want to thank all of the witnesses, all of the governors who've been here and who've been here all day. But I also want to thank you, Governor Pritzker, for the outstanding leadership you have provided to the state of Illinois. Our state is characterized as being progressive and humane. Could you share why we think that's important? You as governor and I as a citizen resident?
Well, we had to do a lot of reform of our state government in order to get there, but it's important to me that we provide health care, that we provide education for all of our people, that we have a policies and a government that take care of particularly those who are most vulnerable in our society, including working families, including the middle class. And it's very important to me that we be known for that. We are a state that is, frankly, cares a great deal about our fellow man. We are a state that is humanitarian in so many ways, and that stands up for the law. And so I'm very proud of our state. We have the greatest state in the country, the land of Lincoln, and we say that proudly because we know that Lincoln would be a Democrat today if he were alive. I'm a big believer in taking his values and promoting those, as well as the values now of today's Illinois, and promoting those. And we've done that and frankly succeeded in so many ways to lift people up. Thank you.
Well, thank you. We're proud of you and your leadership, and I yield back.
The gentleman
Yields back. Chair recognizes Ms. Luna
Mr.
from
Chairman,
Florida.
point of inquiry, did you skip me in the order on purpose? Just curious.
It must have been an oversight, Mr. Mosk.
Well, this is the
Chair
Oversight
recognizes
Committee,
Ms.
which has
Luna.
lots of oversight.
Gentlemen, please.
Chair
I'd like to ask
recognizes
my
Ms. Luna.
I just, suppressing free speech.
It's Ms. Luna.
Thank you very
You're
much,
recognized.
Chairman. First and foremost, I would like to take this opportunity to educate the American people on what's really happening right now with these riots. So I see right now there's a lot of back and forth and finger pointing, but the fact is that there is a financial tie to these riots, tied to immigration, that actually leads right back to the Communist Chinese Party. Straight up, the LA riots have been organized by an organization dubbed PSL, the Party for Socialism and Liberation. funded by billionaire Chinese activist Neville Singham, who spends parts of his year by living in Shanghai. In addition to that, although he is not a registered foreign agent, he accepts a lot of money from the CCP and then turns around and funnels it right into some of these violent protests that we're seeing. But it doesn't just stop there. This is not the only organized protest that's using brown people and immigrants as a ruse to push their communist and Marxist agenda. Mr. Waltz, thank you for coming in today to testify, or Mr. Walls. Real quick, is it true, yes or no, that you are speaking at the June 14th Twin Cities No King rally?
I can't confirm that right now. That could be true.
Okay. Just so you know, they're advertising you speaking there.
Okay.
The graphic's actually on X right now. I'd be happy to provide it for you, so I'll take that as probably speaking. Is it true also, I know on your campaign, that you had admitted to visiting China anywhere from 15 to 30 times, sir? Yes or no, please?
I did live in China. And
No, visiting, sir, in addition to living there and in addition to having,
that's correct.
All right. Also, too, I'd like to note that during your time in Congress that you filed for a $5 million earmark that actually was secured. $2 million of it went to the Harmel Institute that actually collaborated with the Wuhan Institute. Also, the Department of Homeland Security, sir, just to you, so that you're tracking, actually had an internal memo that was released that stated that the government of China considered you a prime target for influence operations. I'm letting you know that now because I do believe that you should be made aware of, if you are not already, that you are working with and going to be speaking at an organization and rally that not is just funded by Christy Walton, the heiress of Walmart, but also has ties to the Chinese Progressive Association, largely funding it, that actually brags on their website that they are pro-Maoist. Also, too, funded by the National Endowment for Democracy. I know there's a lot of people on this committee that don't like billionaires interfering in politics, but say nothing when George Soros gets over $260 million from USAID through the last administration that's then funneled into some of these nonprofits and organizations. So I guess my question for you guys is, now that I've made you aware that these riots are not about illegals and they're not about immigrants, if they did, they would have been protesting under Barack Obama, who's also dubbed the deporter-in-chief. And frankly, I think many of you would say that Barack Obama was a good president. Are you going to say that Barack Obama wasn't a good president? Yes or no, Governor Waltz? Do you think he was a good president?
Do I think Barack Obama was a good president? I think he did a good job.
Okay, how about you, Governor Pritzker?
I think he did a good job.
Hochul?
Hochul, and yes, he did do a good job.
Okay, next. Perryman?
I think President Obama did a good job.
So then you would understand that Barack Obama had the very same policies, for the most part, on immigration that Republicans are parroting today, and yet you guys are sitting here saying that we're Gestapo. And what I would tell you is that what happens with open borders is that the real people that are coming here, the ones that are exploited, actually it hurts people on both sides, not just Americans, but the illegals. Some of you had said here to the actual committee that you are doing what you can to assist these people. But what I would say is that your policies aren't actually done from a place of understanding and sympathy. I would say that it's actually doing the exact opposite. And when you use brown people, just like they use black people with BLM and Marxists during BLM to usher that in, when you use brown people and you put Mexican flags with them saying that you stand up for illegal immigrants, but you follow the money and it's going back to the Communist Party, what you're essentially doing is using your platform as elected officials, the trust that the American people have put in you, essentially to usher in communism. You're not actually fighting for American values. Don't roll your eyes, because it's a serious topic and that's where the money's coming from. So now I'm informing you, so now you guys can make your decisions, but please be informed, sir, Mr. Walls, that if you truly do uphold the American ideologies and perspectives on the Constitution, you should not be speaking at that rally. I've given you the correct information, and as of right now, I've authorized a letter to be sent to my office to the President of the United States to rescind millions of dollars in funding that we know are going to the No Kings protests that were authorized and basically given under the last administration. That is what Congress is supposed to do, not point fingers, not blame people, but actually ensure that the American people are protected and not fighting for foreign interests, foreign governments, and also the communist streets.
Will the gentlelady yield for a question?
No.
You don't want to tell us what your evidence is of all these connections?
Actually, no, I will yield.
You know, I appreciate
Mr.
Goldman,
you'll get 5 minutes.
Take your word for it, but you'll appreciate we might want actual evidence.
I would be happy to provide that, and I'd also be happy to inform Chairman that actually we have a letter of which you can sign on to. I know you like to sign on to letters with us, especially on the Epstein stuff. But we actually have a letter going out to Neville Singham on Friday, and it's actually signed by every single member of Oversight. I'd like to extend that to you because that letter is calling him to testify, and it's also calling for his financial transactions. And do you agree, sir, that we should not be accepting money from the Communist Chinese Party? I think anyone on this platform would agree that that should not be accepted, correct?
I would like for you to actually present evidence rather than just, quote, inform the witnesses. And now that they're informed, they should assume that
I
what
don't
you
disrespect
say is
you. I'm
true
going to answer your question.
when
We are having a hearing on it where we
debunked.
can present all the
right-wing
evidence.
ecosphere.
No, but let's have this dialogue.
Go ahead. You're recognized, Ms. Luna.
We are going to be having a hearing, and you can gavel on to the hearing. I'd appreciate you to do it, because the fact is that the Democrat Party, remember,
Is it going to be as good as the Biden impeachment hearing?
Mr. Goldman, you'll have 5 minutes in a moment.
Let's focus real quick.
Well, Mr. Chairman,
like
she's
to
out
go
of time.
step
I just think
further.
you're trying not to let me talk.
Guys, if you guys want to talk about it, I'll answer the question. But Mr. Singham is also funding Code Pink through his wife.
You know, it's my turn.
Can
we ask Elon to divest from China while we're at
The
it?
lady's time's expired. The lady's time's
We'll
expired.
be having the hearing. Y'all are invited. We might have you guys back.
Thank you.
And governmental property, is that something that fits under your definition of a peaceful protest? Governor Walz, yes or no?
No, it does not.
Thank you. Governor Pritzker?
I find it hard to believe that you're lecturing us about peaceful protest. Look at what happened January 6th here at the Capitol.
No, what we're seeing in LA is an insurrection. You want to talk about an insurrection? This is an absolute insurrection.
You don't understand what insurrection is when people are trying to overturn an election here at the Congress.
I started this off
You were
showing you
here.
the
They were
forum, and I would
attacking you, by the
expect
way.
the same. I would expect the same.
I'm answering your question. It is outrageous. You are asking us
Is it peaceful to
when you're the one condoning
destroy
of people who attack
private and government property
right here at our Capitol?
Governor Hochul, it's been a long day. Does that fit under your definition of a peaceful protest? The destruction of private and government property?
No, and we feel for the business owners and the community for what's going on there.
So do we.
This is a narrow
yes or no?
scope of people, and the vast majority are
Would lighting police
peaceful.
cars on fire fit under the definition of a peaceful protest?
No, we reject that. No one should be lighting police
Governor
cars
Pritzker,
on
yes
fire.
or no?
I'm opposed to violence in any form. Yes.
Governor Walz?
Yeah, we reject that.
Okay. Throwing bricks or large rocks at police officers? Is that peaceful?
It is not.
Is that peaceful, Governor?
Whether it's in Los Angeles or here in Washington at the Capitol, no.
Yeah, that didn't happen here. Governor Hochul?
Rejected.
It actually did, but no, it's not acceptable.
Okay. Governor Pritzker, you have you or have you not called
the House Oversight Committee hearings involving Governor Pritzker, Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota, and Kathy Hochul of New York. It is getting pretty heated right now, as has been throughout the day. Let's go back and listen in.
So it's okay for you to say that and hold that standard, but President Trump has a different standard when he actually makes the claim.
Inciting riots at
and
the
you
Capitol?
said you
Yes,
want
there
mass
is a
protests,
difference between
mobilizations, and disruption as a response to President Trump's policies. I just think that this is all hypocritical. You've called in your National Guard. You don't want President Trump to come in and enforce the rule of law to keep communities safe, and your destructive policies are harming American citizens. We should not have to wait until violence is committed to find out their legal status. We have 2 million unknown gotaways because of Joe Biden's administration, and we have got to find them and get them out of America. And I thank President Trump and his administration for doing just that. I yield.
Tell us your thoughts.